Good day, everyone. I am Sheila Dale L. Taronias, and I am the reporter for Depression and Suicide. What is depression? Depression is a medical condition that affects your mood and ability to function. Of course, if you have a depression, it always affects your mood because you don't know how to function and everything. Kumbaga mapapaisip ka, bigla-bigla maganda yung mood mo, pagka ilang oras na naman sasama na naman, magagalit ka, mapapa-frustrate ka. The reason why nade-depress, sobra na yung depression na ma mako-cope up mo. It also causes feelings of sadness and or loss of interest in activities you enjoyed. Of course, if you have depression, you will lose interest, especially if you love making a garden, the flowers, and then just one day you don't know if you do, if if you love to make a garden, then if you have a depression, you will lose interest in doing it. It's because you, it's because the negativity in your mind and in your body. Types of depression. The first one is clinical depression. Clinical depression is the more severe form of depression, also known as major depression or major depressive order. Of course, yung clinical depression, mas severe siya kaysa sa ibang klaseng depression. Why? Kasi major depression talaga siya yung frustrate yung utak mo, hindi ka na makaka-function ng mabuti. These are the some causes of clinical depression. Of course, stressful events. Kunyari, mm, for example, you're making a birthday party to someone who is special to you, and then something bad happened. Of course, mas stress ka sa ganun nangyari. Family history. Of course, if your family has an history and depression, makukuha yon or maa-adapt mo kasi nakikita mo siya parate. Illness. Of course, kung may sakit ka, madedepress ka talaga kasi yung utak mo gumagana how to kung paano gumawa ng mga bagay-bagay. Of course, alcohol and drugs. If makaka-alcohol and drugs ka, still giving birth. Of course, after after give birth, of course, the postpartum depression is the most na nararanasan ng mga first-time mothers kasi nga frustrated sila, wala silang tulog. So, hanggang nag-fill up yung mga depression hanggang lumaki at naging severe. That's the reason why nagkakaroon sila ng clinical depression. The second one is bipolar depression. Bipolar depression is formerly called manic depression. It's a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings that include emotional highs or hypomania and lows, which is depression. Of course, the bipolar depression, it's a mental health that causes moods. Example, well happy. You're happy this hour. You love to make a cycle flowers or making a pot, and then in just a snap you're going to make it angry, nagagalit ka na. It's just nag-iiba na siya. The reason why there are times that your depression, the bipolar depression, is super high and super low. These are some causes of bipolar depression. The first one is lack of energy. Of course, bipolar depression, mawawalan ka talaga ng gana, mawawalan ka ng enerhiya. 2. Feeling sad, of course. 3. Hopeless or irritable most of the time. There are times talaga na irritable ang isang tao, especially if may depression siya. loss of interest in the everyday activities. Of course, daily activities and hinted dysthymia is a milder but long-lasting form of depression. It is also called persistent depressive disorder. Of course, dysthymia is a totoong mild lang siya, but this kind of depression is a long-lasting. It may be year, 2 years, as long as mild siya. These are the causes of dysthymia, loss in interest in normal daily activities. Of course, you will lose an interest in making example. Your everyday life is you wanted to jog, wanted to exercise, and then just if you have dysthymia, the first one, you want to sleep. The next day, you will not jogging again. And then, umikot-ikot lang yan siya. Feel hopeless and lack of productivity. Of course, lack of productivity is mawawalan ka ng ganang gawin yung ginagawa mo araw-araw. Suicide. What is suicide? Suicide means ending your own life. It is sometimes a way for people to escape pain or suffering. Of course, when a person who is suicide, especially if you have a problems, the people always think is that the problem will be that, and your mind will always says to do suicide so that if you ended your life, the problem also ended, and that's the reason why people nowadays committed suicide to escape pain or suffering. What is suicide attempt? Suicide attempt means that someone tried to end your life but did not die. Example, you attempted to end your life by poison, and then someone saw you and then rush you to the hospital, and then you revive. That is why it's called suicide attempt. What will you do if a friend is thinking about suicide? First one is trust your feelings. Of course, always trust your feelings about suicide because people nowadays always you didn't know that they feeling sad, that they feeling stressed and everything. Take the stress seriously. Of course, someone will say na, I want, I wanted to do suicide, gusto kong mag-suicide. Of course, i-take mo siya ng seriously kasi baka totohanin niya talaga. Of course, you will save his or her life. Say how concerned you are. Listen carefully, talk calmly, involve a trusted adult, stay until help arrives. Of course, if you need to, kailangan mong ipakita sa kanya that you are concerned, makinig ka na mabuti, and also always talk calmly to the person who is thinking about suicide. Of course, you need help of the adults who knows and everything. And also with that person until the help will arrive. When a friend is thinking about suicide, don't do this. Don't do not do this when a friend is thinking about suicide. Of course, do not. The first one is dare the person to go ahead with the suicide attempt. Don't provoke him or her to do the suicide, especially if she's or her is depressed. Judge the person. Of course, you can judge the person because you don't know what his or her problem and what encouraged him or her to do with the suicide. Do not analyze, argue, or offer reasons not to attempt suicide. Of course, do not argue or do not offer reasons sa taong nagsusuicide. Just talk calmly to her, um, motiv say motivational to pakita mo na okay lang. Leave the person alone. Do not leave the person alone because a person who has attempted or thinking about suicide, they always do suicide if they're alone. The reason why do not leave that person alone. And that's my report. Thank you very much.